Okay, this is the old age lecture for stage and film makeup. This is just going to be a brief discussion of what you want to look for old age makeup and what your research needs to be so that you can prepare your face chart and be prepared to do your makeup. So, this lecture is going to talk about oldness, which happens to all of us, and how we get old. As a reminder, at the beginning of this lecture, I'm going to do this at the beginning, at the end. You need 5 research photos and a face chart in addition to your selfies, which you'll take in class when you do the practical. The research photos, it's great to look at members of your own family, whether they be your parents or grandparents or aunts or uncles that are aging, and see how they have aged, because it is likely that you will age in a similar way. So the first thing I want to do is talk about major areas where we tend to see aging. And I break this down into a 3-step approach when I actually do my practical, doing what I call like the larger structural areas first, putting that makeup in. And then the second place I go is I put in finer lines and wrinkles. And then I deal with the actual texture of the skin, which if you look at this guy right here, he's got this sort of almost crepe pattern to his skin, like the flat parts of his skin where there aren't wrinkles. And that also helps tell the story of old age. So that's 3 steps. That's major areas, finer lines and wrinkles, and texture. You could break it down into more areas, but that helps so that you're not trying to do a soft contour over a fine line and wrinkle that you've already drawn. You need to do that contouring the big areas first, and then do the finer lines and wrinkles, and then deal with maybe some skin texture. So let's talk about that. Aged contouring. I don't have a picture of that there. I've got some pictures later that in the lecture that I'll show you that. That's going to look like, instead of that nice soft contour line, we're going to have this sort of downturned contour line that kind of makes this S shape that I talk about. The nasolabial fold. This is the nasolabial fold. So if you smile, you'll see there's like a little crease where your cheeks kind of fold. And that's because your skin, it's like an attachment point that pulls on the muscles that allows you to smile. And we all smile so much, so we all get nasolabial folds at some point in our lives. And it's kind of this point where the skin in our cheeks, our skin is held like tight and firm and youthful by this wonderful product called collagen. And you've all heard about collagen injections, and there's collagen in my facial cream, and there's collagen in whatever. Eventually, as you age, you stop producing collagen, and the collagen sort of leaves you, and your skin starts to sag in various ways. That's where you get the fine lines, because it's no longer held tight and firm. And even like these larger areas like your cheeks start to sag. So as the cheek sags down, and there's that contact point there where it can't sag past, you get this nasolabial fold. The under eye area. So this is what I'm talking about here. Some of us already have lovely areas like this. I definitely do. And so I contour this as a C shape. This is a backward C, but this C shape right here in the eye, this darkness towards the inner corner, this part of the eye starts to appear sunken. It's really obvious in this guy over here too. And what that looks like is the skin there starts to get really, really thin, and like things like your nose keep growing. And so it just, and skin starts to sag down. So it just starts to appear that this area gets really, really dark. You see this C shape right here. So you're going to darken that. And we'll talk about the eye bags as a slightly separate issue. This woman's got some going on here. The chin and jowls. So just like here, you have like a muscular contact point that keeps this taut. You have that same thing on your chin, but there's nothing out here keeping your cheek from sagging below your jawline. So you sometimes get this little kind of shaded triangle area, and you'll see it very clearly in the tutorial. And I'll point it out here on some of the pictures later, that you can shade. And so instead of shading your jawline as like a nice simple line on the underside of your jaw, you're going to shade it in kind of like a circular fashion with that little triangle there, if jowls are something that you're likely to get. In the demonstration, I kind of do a little bit of everything, and you may not do all those things. Crow's feet, this comes from smiling. So notice the corner of your eye is here. So the crow's feet don't come out straight out like winged eyeliner. They sort of downturn and then come up. And that's because this skin in here starts to sag down. I'm also going to you also get this folded hood over your eye. This guy's got it right here. It's not quite crow's feet. It's from this fold of skin where the fold in your eye is starts to sag and it sags down. So normally like we put our eyeshadow in and we kind of take it straight up and give this lovely like shadow in here. Well, this guy's got that part of his skin is starting to sag down over his eye. So there's a way to make it look like your face is doing that. And I'll demonstrate that in the tutorial, but that's something to maybe aim for is are you going to get this hood from the crease down over your eye? Brow creases. So this is what a lot of people think old age makeup is. It's brow creases, right? And they appear on some people more prominent than others, but what I think is important to notice is that the brow creases are really fine lines. They're not the major lines you see with age. The nasolabial fold is a much stronger line. The darkening in the eyes is a much darker place. So do them, but they should be really, really light. And you can also have brow furrow. So this is the brow creases and then like the furrowed brow, these lines here. I do a couple of these. Some people get them more than others. It just depends on what your face is like, but these sort of vertical lines. Mouth corners and creases. So as you start to get old, this lovely part here of your mouth, which normally kind of turns up like this when you're smiling, starts to turn down. And I think I do mine like really straight down in mine, and hers are like a little more of an angle, and that's probably a bit more realistic. It ends up creating this sort of interesting looking channel between your nasolabial fold. You get this sort of, and the jowl, you get this sort of channel line here. These are eye bags here. So what that is, and this guy's got them too. What that is this skin here in your eye gets really, really thin, and it's not as tight, and it starts to sort of sag out of your eye socket. And it's a hard thing to paint, but it can be done. Some people won't get eye bags because their eyes are too far recessed into their head, and the skin just isn't going to fall out of their eye socket like that. But it's something you can do. And then texture. Like I said, this guy's got that great crepe texture. You can even see it here. And it's definitely here. Here we're seeing not just skin texture, but something called liver spots, which are sort of discolored light brown blots of skin. And I didn't do any of these in my tutorial. But you can try them as well, and they sort of appear in random places on different kinds of people. So that is like the major areas to look for. Now let's look at this on some people. So here I have my hero, Patrick Stewart. We have young Patrick Stewart and we have old Patrick Stewart. Thank you, Patrick, for volunteering for this video by being a public figure. So young Patrick Stewart here has a very kind of soft, round face. There's nothing sagging. And so we can look at the difference between these two faces to see kind of what happens when people age. So, and he may, be a slightly different like weight, and people tend to gain weight. Sometimes people lose weight, so that can affect the shape of the face as well. But first things first, like the darkest thing on him is probably this nasolabial fold. Some people's nasolabial fold will come like all the way down here. Some people's are smaller. His isn't so huge, but that's definitely there. He's also got some brow creases, but look at the difference between how dark and thick this line is versus how dark and thick these lines are. One of the things that people tend to get wrong the first time they do old age, and everyone gets things wrong when they do old age makeup, I still get things wrong when I do old age makeup, is that all the lines end up being like the same thickness and the same darkness, and that just doesn't look realistic. Also on Patrick here, we've got this really prominent kind of sunken C shape here. He's got that a little bit here because he's got a nice strong brow, but it's just definitely much darker here. We also have like the fold of his eye is sort of coming down. So if you notice, his crow's feet start like below his eye. He's got little bitty eye bags that are coming down. They're not too prominent here. He's got some spots, so that can be done with texture and or painting some little liver spots in. His contour line, the next one shows the contour line better, but it's got a little downturn. got a little downturn. And what that helps show is that the apple of the cheek when you're young is sort of up here. And then as you get old, it kind of sinks a little bit. So that's something to look at young Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. And now we're on to Miss Betty. So Miss Betty has also done us the favor of being famous for a very, very long time. So we have iconic photos of her in her youth and iconic photos of her in her glorious current state. So young Betty has this sort of lovely kind of cherub face. She's got these lovely dimples that she retains to this day, but it's really clear to see how some things happen here. Now she's wearing makeup in this photo, so some things may not be quite so obvious. Like she doesn't have that crazy dark C shape in her eyes. Some of that may be concealer, but some of that may just be her face. You can see her eye here. It's a little more uplifted here, and it's a little more downturned here. She's got a very, very soft little nasolabial sort of shadow here, and it's turned into a fold here. If you look at the apple of her cheek, it's higher here and lower here. Here it's sort of like right above her nostril, and here it's like well below her nostril, because that's all that lovely youth has sort of been weighed down by the loss of collagen. She has a really clear version of this S-shaped contour that I'm talking about. The contour line comes here and it kind of comes in with her dimple and then sort of takes a downturn. Contour line takes a downturn. And then that's that kind of triangular jowl shape. So imagine her, if her jawline was, if she was a young person who was doing old age makeup, she would have a sort of smooth line from here to here. And this is just skin being loose on her neck. And you can't really recreate that without prosthetics, so don't really try. But you can get this kind of jowl shape here, and you do that by sort of shading it onto your jawline. You can see the little downturned corners of the mouth. Even though she's smiling, she gets this line here, and that helps create that channel that I'm talking about here, where the apple of the cheek and then the contour line and the nasolabial fold kind of come into this little channel outside the mouth, and that kind of creates a nice old age look. Her skin is much smoother here. Now, some of that's the resolution of the photography, and she's got a little bit of spottiness going on here, so that helps communicate old age. Fun fact, your nose never stops growing. Your nose and your ears never stop growing. So her nose is a little bit bigger here. And you can show that by just kind of sharpening up the contour around the nose. So those are things you can do there, and that's our lovely Miss White. This is Danny Glover, and he is a younger version and older version. Some people's skin, and generally darker skin, doesn't show fine lines and wrinkles nearly as much. But you still get the same kinds of structural changes, that prominent nasolabial. He's got like relatively strong forehead wrinkles. He's got this really lovely strong brow with a tiny little furrow line right there. Definitely has, if you look between here, there's a soft little darkening there. Definitely has that sunken C shape in the eyes. His nose is probably about the same. Those crow's feet, again, they are not winged eyeliner. They sort of come down. So they're sort of aiming below his eye. He doesn't have that sort of sagging jowl that other people have. But I would say the apple of his cheek's probably fallen a little bit. He's got a nice broad smile, and that kind of keeps that part of his face hidden from his face front views. So that's another one to look at. Here we have Mr. Ian McKellen as a young man. Believe it or not, that's young Ian McKellen and old Ian McKellen, both gorgeous men. But you can see he's got that very masculine contour that we talked about with male contouring here, and he retains it here. But he definitely has a lot of skin that moves around. You can see his nose has gotten bigger. Nice soft photograph here, and then we can see that definite darkening here. He definitely has eye bags. So this is that loose skin from around the eye area that's kind of fallen down out of the eye socket. So that's really prominent on him. He's got those the brow wrinkles and these little furrow lines. His eyebrows are really bushy in old age, and that's probably something he cultivates. Like, he could cut them, but he doesn't because they look awesome. This hooded line over the eye is exists in his youth but sags a little bit lower. Really strong nasolabial fold, so this apple of his cheek, which was up here, has sort of fallen down here. He's definitely got that sort of channel between his contour line and his nasolabial line. Not too much downturned at the mouth, not too much in the way of jowls. Definitely a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, doing these kinds of fine lines and wrinkles that sort of cross out. Sometimes they cross out of the eye bag, that are crossing down through his cheek. These are really hard to replicate, and you can try, and they only come with very old age. So when you're doing old age, you can be trying to look 40, 50, 60, 90, all of the ages in between. So some of these things happen later in life. Texture is really obvious on him too. You've got these freckles and things like that. Sun damage causes that variation in the skin. So those are some things to look at there. Here we have a couple different pictures to sort of show you different stages of old age. Like this is old age that can be achieved with basically just doing some what I call old age contouring, which is our step one that I talk about, where we do the old age contour line here, the nasolabial fold, maybe a little bit of that little jowl line, so she gets that little pinch. You can see that triangle shape is really clear on her right here. That little pinch line there, maybe a little downturn at the mouth, maybe a little darkening in here, and that's it. And that's going to make you look older without you looking like you're painted up like a witch, which is what I end up looking like at the end of the tutorial. This woman here, she's a little bit older. She's wearing makeup and lovely, but she's got these creases that show up really well. This is what I'm talking about. You get these kind of creases that sort of fall out over the cheek. These can be hard to replicate with makeup. You can try. I don't in the tutorial. I do the crow's feet, but I don't do any of these that come across here. And look to your elders in your family, and you'll see kind of how those might fall out on you. She's got these lines that crisscross. And this gets into why order would be important. Like if you try to paint these lines in before you paint in an old age contour line, you'll just be fighting yourself and you'll have to redo these. In the tutorial, I have a little part where I do the crow's feet, and then I come and I do the eye bag, and when I do the eye bag, I sort of mess up the crow's feet, and then I have to go back and fix the crow's feet. So that's why I give them to you in these order. Like think about the big structural areas, fine lines and wrinkles, and then texture. And this woman here has lived a life. I think it's a woman. I don't really know. She's wearing pearls, but maybe, anyone can wear pearls. It's just a necklace. So she's got these amazing wrinkles on the side of her eye, and these that come across her cheek, and this really just kind of a lot of character in this nasolabial line. So she has lived a life. She has stories to tell. So think about that, and she's much older than this woman, and this woman is older than this woman. So think about that progression in your old age. Like what age am I aiming at? And that's going to help solidify your look. Sun damage, hard living can cause wonderful, amazing textures to appear. Pardon me. Wonderful, amazing textures to appear in your skin. So these women have these lovely, cracked kind of alligator skin, and that's probably not something you can recreate. This would be wonderful to recreate with prosthetics. And you would build this up over a cast on the face and cast it very, very thin, very, very thin sculpt to make that happen. It would be really, really hard to just do that with paint, but it's another way old age happens. This lovely man here is showing us his liver spots. It's also showing some redness that happens. I put some redness in under my eye, and I put some redness in the T-zone. He's still got blood, he's still got veins and arteries, and they're still pumping blood, and his skin will still flush. And sometimes old people's skin flushes even more than younger people's skin because it's thin and they don't have the layer of fat on their cheeks that disguises that. So these are what liver spots look like. And some of them are really pale like this, and some of them are darker like this. And they're caused by some chemical in your body. I don't know what they're caused by. I'm not a doctor. So here is my old age demo that I did. These are just some pictures of it. I'm wearing a really terrible wig here because it helps. Putting on a wig helps you become someone else. So there's some things that are good about what I've done. There's things that are not great. You can see how subtle my forehead wrinkles are compared to other areas on my face. I've created this channel here on my face. I've got the little downturned corners of my mouth. That little triangle there, that's what I'm talking about with the jowls, and that helps sort of pull my chin up and give me that shape. That S-shaped contour, which creates that channel. When I put my blush on, I put it down here, not up here. I did some redness there. You can see the texture I've created with a stipple sponge on my face. Now these pictures are up close, which is not kind of what you're going for in old age. I've also my downturned crow's feet. Some more fine lines and wrinkles might make me look older, but they might also make me look more cartoony. So that is up to you how far you want to go with that. But you need to do at least the old age contour, at least into step 1 and some of step 2 to start to get old age. And the other slides I have in here, I don't want to post those on YouTube. They're pictures I stole off the internet of other people's makeup and to say good and bad things about them. And I don't want to do that on YouTube for the public. So you can all critique my own makeup, and I'm happy to hear that. But that is your lecture. That's what you need to aim for. You need to get 5 research photos of people. They can be your family members. It would be great if they were mostly your family members, but you can look to other people as well. And you need to do your face chart, which is in the folder, and you can see it at the beginning of my tutorial as well. And really pay attention to this first slide here. Make sure you're including these things in your face chart. Think about those things. Label them on your face chart. That'll help you get where you're going. And I hope this was helpful, and you can ask me any questions in the Discord if you have any. Thank you, and good luck.